In this little presentation, I'm just going to explore some of the issues around assessing drama and how you can approach both formative and summative assessment when using drama in the classroom.
First of all, we're going to look at the EYFS, because if you are teaching in early years foundation stage, you're actually in a much better position in relation to assessing drama than people working in Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, because the EYFS is actually asking you to assess in areas that are relevant to drama. So here, for example, the prime area, communication and language, under listening and attention, we've got children listen attentively in a range of situations, listen to stories, anticipate key events, respond to what they hear, give attention to what others say. Children follow instructions about ideas, they answer questions of how and why and their experiences on stories and events. And if we then look at the suggested example lines of inquiry for the early years foundation stage profile, and this is from the 2017 handbook, so this is the latest advice. And here's an example of a line of inquiry in relation to playing and exploring. And if you look at this here about using what they know in their play, and if you read that bit down there, but from that line down, combining and refining ideas in imaginative ways, representing experiences through imaginative play, which supports the development of narrative thought and the ability to see from other perspectives and symbolic thinking. And then possible lines of inquiry for you to consider as a teacher, early years foundation stage worker. In what ways does the child use what he or she discovers in play and links it to existing knowledge? Can the child combine and refine, explore ideas in imaginative ways? Can they see things from other perspectives? These are all things that are fundamental to the nature of drama. So the EYFS gives you a really good starting place to sort of, what am I going to ask when I am watching the children engaging in imaginative play, or I'm working with them using drama strategies? For those of us working in Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, it is not so clear. As we've already explored, the national curriculum says that everyone has to do drama, and this is the summary sheet of what that section in the national curriculum for English says, that pupils should be able to adopt, create, sustain a range of roles responding appropriately to others in role. They should be able to improvise, devise, script drama, refine, share and respond thoughtfully to drama and theatre performances. However, it is highly unlikely that you will be asked to assess children against any of these as a formal summative assessment in your work in school. It is much more likely that you will be using drama to meet another learning outcome, whether it's a learning outcome that's to do with written English. So you may have a learning outcome that's about composition or writing dialogue, or a learning outcome that's about comprehension in terms of understanding a text, or you may have a learning outcome that's linked to another area of the curriculum, such as history. So drama is the means to achieve that learning outcome, but the drama itself is not something that you end up assessing as part of the formal assessment for children. However, that does not mean that you shouldn't take the opportunities to assess children in relation to their drama for formative purposes. That as children are engaged in drama, you are watching what they're doing, you are questioning what they're doing, and you're trying to help them so that they can progress in their drama activities to support other areas of the curriculum. The question is, how do you do that? What language do you use with the children as you formatively assess them and they assess each other in peer assessment? As a suggestion here, the Arts Council 2003 document, Drama in Schools. Now, this document was written to relate to the old national curriculum. You will see it's got level descriptions, and the levels are down the side there. But we're not going to use those levels because they're not appropriate anymore. This doesn't align with the current national curriculum. But what it does do is give us a way of talking about progression and giving us a language to talk about children's drama. So for instance, let's look at what used to be level 3, pupils can, and I should say at this point, this was advisory under the old national curriculum, it was never compulsory. It was just a suggestion of a way of assessing drama. But if we look at level 3 at the bottom there, it says choose vocabulary and movement to match the person, place and time required by their story or situation. Now that, as a way of describing what a child is doing in drama, is actually very useful and a way of helping them to understand what they are doing and how they can improve what they're doing. You could also look at the descriptions from the primary national strategies under speaking and listening, which had quite a lot of drama in there, and use the language from that. But with any document like this, of course, we need to align what we're doing with the current national curriculum and make sure we're not saying anything that contradicts the age expectations of the current national curriculum. We looked briefly at this video before, and we're going to have another look at a little bit of this video and see what we could assess in terms of a child's drama work in this piece of activity, and also what summative assessment would be.
I think that face is fantastic. Why have you got that face?
Because I'm so cross with them, because they said my hospital is disgusting and is dirty.
Can I just listen to the conversation that's happening?
This hospital is disgusting and disgraceful.
How dare you say that? This is my hospital and I want to treat my soldiers this way.
Well, the bedding hasn't been changed at all, has it?
Well, I think my...
That's okay, keep going. You think your soldiers are what? Do you think that you've treated them well? You tell her that. You tell Florence that. How dare she come to your hospital?
How dare you come to my hospital? You should go straight back where you come from.
So if we look at what the boy was doing in those activities and look at where he was in these descriptions, please notice I've removed the levels. The level numbers, they are irrelevant to us, but we can look at progression. Now I'm going to suggest that he is able to devise plays. Now I've put that in inverted commas, this is an improvised activity. They're devising a scene from a range of stimuli. He's responded to the use of drama techniques to deepen the role or understanding of the situation. So thinking of the Neelands and Good structure, this is part of a process. They have done other things that have led to this point. So he's responding to those drama techniques to get to this point. And then he's choosing vocabulary and movement to match the person, place and time required by his story or situation. But what about progression then? And where does he go with this? If we look at where the how the descriptors progress, we can see that in the next section it talks about sustaining a defined character for a reasonable amount of time, and that's part of my feedback that I would give to him and I would make part of that discussion. You saw there the teacher had to step in to help him to sustain it, though of course we have to bear in mind he did have a camera in his face while he was doing this and he may not normally have that problem. So you've got the Arts Council descriptors there for making, but the Arts Council actually provide descriptors for making, performing and responding to drama. So they provide language for all three aspects there that you could take and adapt and use to give feedback to children, to show them where they could move on and give them a language to discuss their own and each other's drama as part of assessment for learning. The outcome of this particular piece of work is writing, and it's writing associated with history. So the summative assessment, the final assessed piece from these children, is not actually going to be against drama outcomes, but against history outcomes. And you can see here, history in the national curriculum, Key Stage 1, that's a Year 2 class, so we're Key Stage 1. And you've got pupils should be taught about the lives of significant individuals in the past who've contributed to national and international achievements. And then above that, about the use of vocabulary of everyday historical terms, ask and answer questions, choosing and using parts of the story. So you've clearly got aspects here that you can evaluate against the national curriculum expectations for history. So the drama that you're using may help you, or will help you, to achieve the learning outcomes in other areas of the curriculum, even if you don't have a subject called drama against which you are assessing summatively at Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. In my own work on Macbeth with years 5 and 6, based on the Arts Council, the kind of discussion that I was having with children based on those kind of descriptors were about working confidently in groups, planning and structure in plays, actively interpreting the work of playwrights, writing and performing their own simple scripts, establishing characters with control and movement over voice. And you can see how relevant that was to children improvising their own scenes from Macbeth and creating their own radio play based upon it. The spoken language aspects of the national curriculum also provide language for me to be formative in my assessment, so that children should be able to adopt, create, sustain a range of roles, respond appropriately to others, and improvise, devise, script, drama, refine, share, respond thoughtfully. So all of those things are also part of the formative language that I can use and I can encourage the children to use, even if we're not going to create a summative and recorded piece of assessment that will be then shared with parents or be used to talk about progression in the class. The summative assessment, on the other hand, was all around English in the national curriculum for me, as my subject, and a summative assessment in relation to reading, so identifying and discussing themes and conventions across a wide range of writing and making comparisons, understand what they read, by preparing poems and plays to read aloud and perform, showing understanding, to plan writing, so identifying audience and purpose for writing and appropriate form, and perform their own compositions. So you can clearly see how, although I've been using drama to achieve this, I am using reading and writing outcomes, which will then provide the boundaries for the framework for the assessments that we use with the children. So in summary then, for EYFS, there really isn't an issue, because actually the aspects of drama assessment form part of the evidence that you gather as part of creating a child's early years profile. Points for observation and appropriate language can be found in relevant and current documentation, so it's there for you. In Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2, we have a different situation. So we'll rarely be asked to provide summative assessment of spoken language, which will include drama. So assessment will be related to, as in the case of Macbeth, English, or in Florence Nightingale, history, or there could be another aspect to the curriculum. Drama then is the method of teaching and learning, or a method of teaching and learning to meet those learning outcomes. It's not a subject within itself. To engage in formative assessment, including peer assessment, we can be more specific about knowledge and skills and understanding in drama, and we can use language for such assessment from the English National Curriculum for spoken language, materials such as the Arts Council Drama in Schools document, or speaking and listening sessions of the Primary National Strategies Framework for English from 2006. With the latter two, always making sure that they do not conflict with age-related expectations of the national curriculum, because you will find references to, as you saw in my learning outcomes for Macbeth, references to performing plays, etc., in the national curriculum for reading and writing. So I hope that helps and you have some clearer idea of how assessment actually works in drama, both formatively and summatively.